So what is my background? My background is in chemistry. So let me talk a little bit about that. When I was at school, growing up, my dad's an architect, and he bought a 1914 building. And what I did growing up was renovate a 1914 building. Now, that was a lot of fun. It was a 4-story building. Took a lot of years and a lot of work. But I learned how to fix problems or solve problems, and that was important growing up in my development. So I always figured I'd end up in business. I liked architecture, but I really didn't see myself as an architect because I saw how it was either feast or famine. And I and I but my grandfather had a grocery store growing up, and he had a gas station and a few other things. But the point of the matter is, I always figured I'd wanted to own my own business. So I didn't know what that was going to be. I thought I'd be a product. While I was in college, I was I was all over the map. I was taking psychology classes. I was taking, it's not just general classes. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I know I wanted to get an MBA, and I thought I would probably going to go into pharmaceutical sales. So I decided, I'll get a chemistry degree and then I'll go back and get an MBA later, and I'll go work for a pharmaceutical company. Well, the pharmaceutical companies wanted a business guy, so I didn't get a job with the pharmaceutical companies, but I worked for a professor that as a research assistant, and it was in theoretical chemistry. Theoretical chemistry is all done on the computer. It's modeling molecular models and on a computer and the energy levels, and to try and predict whether something is plausible to happen in nature or not. So, at any rate, because of that, I had some computer background. So when I graduated or got done with school, software companies hired me. So I worked in software testing, software networking, or network computing. While I was in college too, I was in the Air Force Reserve. That's one of the ways I paid for college, is I joined the Air Force Reserve. So I worked on F-16s and ejection seats. So, so again, software, networking, chemistry, aircraft mechanic. I did summer sales, so I'd knock on doors all summer long. And so I had a pretty vast background. So when we decided to do food, I got turned down from the MBA schools because chemistry didn't necessarily do the best things for my GPA, and I was pretty stuck on going to a non-traditional or a traditional MBA school. I didn't want to go to an alternative. Now looking back on it, that was probably not the smartest thing. I think an alternative is a great program or a great way to go, an alternative program. But anyway, I thought, I want to learn how to run a business. So why don't I just buy a franchise? They'll teach me. Now I talked about how New York Burrito wasn't the best franchise. It really was on the downward slide. But so we had to learn as we went. And I had to go back to work. And so most of that time period while we're developing this, I was still working in software engineering or working as a software tester. And my last job that I had as a software tester was at Novell, and they had a grid computing program. I had a friend of mine. He says, "Hey, you want a job?" And I was like, "Yeah, I need a job." So went back to work for them. At this 2003, I joined the Air Force or Air National Guard in Utah, and I've been doing that ever since. So what that means is on the weekends, when I'm not working in the store, working on this, then I'm 1/4 of my time I'm away, about 30 to 40 days a year. I'm working for the Air Force. So had a great time with that, learned a lot, learned that government has tons and tons and tons of regulation that I really don't, it bugs me because it's inefficient, but it is, but I'm grateful that we're secure. So that's my background. So I've always had the attitude that if you're going to learn something, don't be afraid to learn it and figure it out. So and so I have the same attitude with my employees. If you don't know how to do it, that's might be my problem, but really more importantly, it's your problem to go figure it out, and anything can be learned, short of brain surgery.